Lock in, nephews. Welcome to Ask Your Favorite Uncles. This isn't a podcast. This is a checkpoint. If you came here tonight emotional, reactive, or looking for someone to co-sign your behavior, hey, slow down. You're in the right place, but not for the reasons you might think. This show isn't here to beat you up. It's here to build you up properly. Most men don't lack potential. They lack structure. They lack standards. And they've never been taught how to regulate themselves when emotions get loud. Tonight, we're talking about personal accountability, the kind that changes outcomes. We're talking about emotional control, the kind that keeps you out of situations, nephews, you're later going to regret. And we're talking about self-discipline, not punishment, but direction. Because here's the truth most men never hear. If your life feels chaotic, it's not because you're unlucky. It's because too many of your decisions are being made from impulse instead of intention. This show exists for men who are tired of reacting, tired of over-explaining, tired of chasing clarity from other people instead of creating it within themselves. Okay, we don't blame women here. We don't blame the culture, and we don't hand out excuses dressed up as self-care. We mentor. Now, nephews, that means we're going to tell you the truth calmly, directly, and with respect, not to shame you, but to help you. We want you to become the man you're meant to be. All right. And if you're ready to grow, this is a live show. Call in, write in, bring real questions, real situations, and your real crossroads. Now, whether you're coming out of a breakup, struggling to stay composed, or trying to rebuild discipline and self-respect, you don't have to figure it out alone, but you do have to take responsibility. So if you're here to learn, stay with us. If excuse me, nephews, if you're here to level up, we got you. And if you're here because something inside of you knows you can do better, then tonight might be the night you stop drifting and you start leading yourself. Let's get into this. My name is William. You can call me Unc tonight. Johnny, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So yeah, as Bill said, I'm Uncle Johnny Dumbbell, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. I'm here from beautiful Pittsburgh, PA, where we are buried under about 1.5 feet of snow. Still getting up, going to work tomorrow, though. I'm actually going to get there. But we're not here to talk about the weather. Not here to talk about anything other than the fact that those of you who were unfortunate enough to have grown up without the proper kind of guidance, without the understanding of how to handle certain situations, you may find yourself in situations that we found ourselves too. Now, not necessarily because of a lack of guidance, but simply a lack of knowing what to do and how to handle ourselves going into it, and more importantly, coming out of it. So we're here to talk about our failures more than our successes, because let's face it, pain teaches you a little bit more than success. Success is, what I think it was Thomas Edison said, success is a lousy teacher because it convinces smart people that they can't fail. Now, we're not here to talk about that yet. Absolutely. We got 4 tonight. We got 4 guys. I was only going to do 3, but one of them really seemed kind of important. I really wanted to make sure we got that in there. Now, these young men are having, kind of a rough time with different facets of a relationship, different aspects of it. So we're going to hear from a couple of different, ends of the rope, and somewhere in between along the spectrum. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this going. What do you say, Uncle Bill?
All right, Johnny, let's get to work, sir.
All right, guys, learn from
call in with your questions. Our phone lines are open. We got you.
And learn from our mistakes, guys. I mean, we screwed up, so you don't necessarily have to. All right, so question 1 is from Billy. Imagine that. He and she are both 24. He says, my girlfriend is asking for cohabitation, but I don't want to do it. So after 2 years of dating, my girlfriend is trying to pressure me on cohabitating. This is getting tiresome since she asks every day. I don't want to cohabitate. I love her, but I feel too young and would like to keep that relationship casual. I'm fine living on my own and only seeing her a couple of times a week. Living with another person would be too stressful for me since I'm an introvert who loves to have alone time. I'm not interested in the future. I don't feel the need for marriage or having children at this time. As I said before, I still feel too young to make this relationship become that much more serious. I love her, but I don't know what I should do. I know that this is kind of a huge deal breaker, so I'm ready to break up if this is the only choice I can make. Is breaking up the only option? No, standing on business is the only option. And hey, if you are willing to walk away rather than compromise your feelings about this, that's exactly what you're doing. I'm glad you wrote in with that question. I'm glad. It sounds to me like you're checking your work with your uncles here, but I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for Uncle Bill, but I got to tell you, the fact that you're willing to walk away rather than be compromised in your own beliefs of how your life should go should tell you that, yeah, you're going to have to break up with her. It might suck. You're going to have a couple of nights crying to your cat, whatever it happens to be, but you stood on business. And as much as it hurt, you became comfortable being uncomfortable. Bill?
Billy, the reason this feels heavy isn't because she's wrong. It's because you're being unclear. All right. You're not confused. You're conflicted because you want the benefits of progression without the responsibility of direction. Here's the truth you need to hear, nephew. Wanting to keep it casual after 2 years is already an answer. Okay, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to live together. Shout out to you. You should have your own place. There is something wrong with keeping a woman emotionally invested in a future you already know you don't want. Introversion
I feel like
isn't the issue. Age isn't the issue. Stress isn't the issue. Nephew, alignment is. She's asking for progression. You're asking for preservation. Those are opposite directions. The breakup is not the only option, but I got to tell you, clarity is mandatory.
I think it's the best option. Yeah.
All right. So I would approach it something, you know what? We appreciate you writing in. I really do. So one thing I want to do is make sure you have information you can take with you that's going to benefit you. So you may have to say this to her. Okay. I care about you, but I'm not moving forward with cohabitation, marriage, or a family in the foreseeable future. Okay. Then, nephew, you're kind of letting her choose. All right, if she stays, it's informed consent. If she leaves, that's not failure, sir. That's integrity. A man doesn't drag somebody through ambiguity just to avoid discomfort. Shout out to Johnny Dumbbell. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the stage that you're at, there's nothing wrong with you being okay with the way things are, and there's nothing wrong with her not being okay with the way things are. So I mean, this is something where she's looking for progression, and like Uncle Bill said, you're looking for preservation, and then there's nothing wrong. Neither one of those answers is wrong. The only wrong answer is staying into a situationship, as it turns out to be, where she's going to be making herself miserable by pressuring you, and you're going to be making yourself miserable by kind of straddling that line between walking away and standing on business, or sticking around and trying to compromise, which, by the way, is not going to work in this situation. It's kind of an all or nothing for her. But even if you could, we're compromising your beliefs. We're not your beliefs necessarily, but we're compromising your roadmap to who you're trying to become. And I think you've already got a plan for that, and that's great. I think you already know that the best option is to walk away. But I got to tell you, I love that you wrote into us and made sure, kind of checked your work and bounce the ideas off a couple of guys who have screwed this kind of situation up more than once. So, hey.
Hey, that's the real win here tonight, nephew. You seeking some guidance and mentorship. So
and let me
I'm proud of you for writing in.
Something, Billy. The other thing too, Billy, is nephew Billy. I let a relationship go on for 5.5 years when I should have ended it after a little less than 2. So I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing. It's only going to snowball to get worse if you try to force it, if you try to fake it till you make it. And I think you already know that's not the right choice. And the fact that you're kind of dead ass when you're talking about I'd rather walk away than be unhappy, together. And I think that should be everybody's philosophy when it comes to a relationship and whether or not it lasts. So yeah, I mean that's kind of you already kind of created your plan. You're standing on business, and you're putting your foot down, saying no. If this is not something that I want in my life, then I'm not going to force myself into it. And a lot of guys won't do that. A lot of guys wouldn't. I mean, hell, I did. All right. And you think I'd have learned after once, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I didn't. All right. So, the fact that you're as young as you are, you're about the age I was when I screwed this up. All right. So the good news is YouTube is a lot more useful to you than it was to me back in 2004. But hey, man, great. Best of luck to you. And yeah, I think you know the answer, man. I'd love to follow up with you and see how things went. As a matter of fact, if you could send us an update email, maybe like a couple weeks down the road, whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you, man. But thanks for writing in. Love you, brother. Nephew.
Appreciate you, nephew. Thank you very much, sir. All right, chat. Call in with your own questions. We got you. And if you're going to troll us, we don't mind. Just be good at it.
Yeah, I mean, like creativity does count. All right. So we got question 2 from Trevor. So let's see. He's 24. She's 23. By the way, thanks, guys. You're getting a lot better at letting me know how old you are. Not that it matters in every situation, but in some situations it kind of matters. So I'm struggling to see how to go about this. He says, my girlfriend says we're not compatible because of different routines. He says, I'm struggling to see how to go about this. I'm in a 3-year relationship with my girlfriend. Last night, she told me that she doesn't think that we're a right match as I'm better with finances than she is. Which to me is okay, as I think that when you're in a committed relationship, you let your partner take over where they are better at it. We recently moved in together 3 months ago. Now, again, 3 years together were great, but 3 months living together, here we go. I handle when the rent's paid, when the utilities are paid, and tracking our spending and saving. It's easy for me because I've been like this since forever. This, in hindsight, isn't the issue. It's just that she kept piggybacking off why she doesn't think we're a good match. She doesn't like the gym the same way I do. Props to Johnny Dumbbell. Thank you, buddy. Thanks, nephew. She doesn't like running errands on the weekend to set herself up for the week the way I do. She doesn't like saving money the way I do. She doesn't like cooking, so she'd prefer to DoorDash. You get the gist. Over the last year, it was very challenging, as Johnny Dumbbell puts it, in a good way. I graduated college, gained weight, which I needed to do, paid off the debt, saved a ton, got a car, fixed my credit, even traveled and got to see all of my favorite artists last year. He's a man, Trevor. You're fucking killing it, brother. All right. I achieved, yeah, man. I achieved a lot and experienced a lot, and it feels to me like she's scared of change, jealous of what I've done, or she just doesn't want to do anything in general. This isn't the first time that we've had this conversation either. It's been more frequent within the last year, but when we first started dating, she brought it up within the first 2 months of us being together. She thinks she's lazy and has nothing going for her, but I assure her all the time that some things aren't her fault. That is such an enabling statement, and we're going to get into that too. She had dealt with things with her parents which caused her to leave home and temporarily be homeless. Seeing some flags flying, Uncle Bill. Within 2 weeks, I found her an apartment and helped her pay for the initial deposit. Ever since then, she's been comfortable. She found a job that pays well enough to where she has money left over at the end of the month and isn't scrambling to figure something out. I live with her, so I take her to work in the morning, as it makes it easier for her to save up for a car and she doesn't have to commute. This is where my mind comes in and makes it confusing. She said that she wouldn't be where she is without me, and in some ways, I see that as an appreciation thing. But in other ways, I see it very negatively. It makes me almost feel like I just have a pet. I'm conflicted. Shout out to Jesse, by the way, the Inzer cat. I'm conflicted because on one end, she says she loves me and sees a future with me. But on the other end, she feels as though we're not going to be compatible, and she just doesn't want to do anything. I told her I don't want to pressure her into living the same lifestyle as me if it's not making her happy. So we would test the waters for like a month and see if the way she wants to live makes her happy. What would the two of you do, and how would you handle this?
Trevor, you didn't outgrow your girlfriend. You out-disciplined her. Yep. And now that gap is exposed. This isn't about finances. This isn't about the gym. Nephew, it's not about errands. This is about velocity. You're still moving forward. She's standing still and calling it incompatibility because stagnation feels safer than self-examination. So
one thing.
Go ahead, John.
One thing we should be noting, though, is the one thing she's not doing is making an attempt to follow you in that lifestyle. So while you're leading and you're doing leader things, like you said, now you're not leading in a relationship. You are kind of coming home to a pet human. I mean,
Now,
and the thing of it is that, and understand it has nothing to do with what she does for work or, what she doesn't do when she's at home. It's not even necessarily about that. It's about the fact that when you think about running a mile, you're like, "Oh, all right, let me stretch and get warmed up." And when she thinks about running a mile, it's like a whole mile. So, I mean, those are two totally different wavelengths on a physical plane or, physicality plane. But I mean, this is deeper than working out. This is even deeper than finances. Like Uncle Bill said, your ambition is kind of going Mach 3, and her ambition is barely getting off the ground, if at all. Now, I don't know if there's, psychological issues in her life, and if there are, I'm not qualified to handle that. But what I can tell you is, as young as you are, this would be the time to figure out what it means to have somebody, that fits your program. Somebody that helps you move forward, because it's really starting to sound to me, man, like this might be a ball and chain or an anchor of sorts. And I worry about that, because while you might be moving along quite fast, that anchor gets wrapped around your ankle. You can slow down a little bit. And right now, you're on the kind of path we don't want that for you, man. We want to keep that pedal on the floor. So, yeah, I mean, I'm saying that I think that this is, yeah. Now, I mean, what I want you to notice, though, like I said earlier, you've been together for 3 years and everything was great. And they always say, once you live with somebody for a couple of months, which is what it looks like you've been doing, you learn a lot more about them than you ever did, and no matter how long you've been together before. Well, yeah, you're learning mannerisms. You're learning who they are behind closed doors, except you're behind the same door with her. You're learning, and that's not necessarily a knock on her or knock on you for being square or whatever it happens to be. But what it is the two of you behind closed doors, you're finding out you had even more differences than you probably already had beforehand. But those were about favorite TV shows or, maybe a political view here or there, a philosophical discussion. No, now one of you has to go to the bathroom real bad and the other one's in there taking a dump. Things change. Shit gets real when that happens, literally. Okay. I mean, that's kind of like how it goes. But I mean, there's that, but there's also, there's also that kind of, you start to see their underlying habits, their maybe compassion or lack thereof, or their, in this case, ambition or lack thereof. And this is just kind of one of those things where if she really truly doesn't have any ambition of moving her life forward, then one of two things happens to be the case here. And I think one of them is a little likelier. One, we got a female failure to launch here. She's like the girl Matthew McConaughey. I don't know if anybody ever saw that movie. If you know, you know. Or two, this girl has been kind of working you for a long time. You paid for a deposit on her apartment. You helped her get a job. You're handling the bills. You're handling the finance. So she has enough money left over at the end of the month. Well, does that mean that it's because you paid everything and she just kind of gets the party? Or, are you actually splitting things down the middle? It didn't really specify in there. So I don't really know about that. But what it really kind of sounds like is, even if you're splitting the bills down the middle, 50-50, whatever you want to call it, you're not splitting the effort putting into this relationship. Tangible or intangible, monetary or non-monetary. She's not matching your energy. And that energy is being sucked from you at this point. If it isn't now, it will be soon. Remember that we are who we surround ourselves with, especially those who are closest to us. And even if you don't end up following her lead, you kind of end up gravitating towards that lifestyle to spend that kind of time together. And I'm telling you, man, you said you lost weight, which you said you needed to do. If you don't want to gain that weight back in the next 3 months, then I would have to say that either you sit down and have a serious discussion about ambition and whether or not she plans to, make any kind of moves to improve her own life, or if not, and honestly, I got to tell you, I can already tell you how that conversation is most likely going to go based on your description here. I don't like the chances, man. It's something that can maybe be worked out over a long period of time, but again, almost 3 years together, but all it took was 3 months for you to see something as pretty deep rooted as this. I think that's something you ought to think about, man.
Nephew, here's the line you crossed without realizing it. You became the structure of her life. That's why this whole dynamic feels like a pet thing. Not because you're arrogant, but because she outsourced her momentum to you. Love doesn't require equal ambition, but cohabitation does require compatible effort. Stop managing her life immediately. That's what I need you to do going forward. That's the game I'm giving you for writing in tonight, sir. Stop managing her life immediately. No more chauffeuring. No more financial scaffolding. No more lifestyle buffering. And then you're going to have to man up and say something like this to her. I'm not asking you to be me, but I need a partner who's actively building something. If she rises, you reassess. If she resents, sir, you need to exit. You are not obligated to shrink so someone else can stay comfortable.
By the way, chat in the comments, if you have a story about a time when you were with somebody who just wouldn't get off their ass and get moving, or just wouldn't, show some sort of ambition either towards your relationship or their own life or something, leave it in the comments. We'll talk about it.
I want to know why this is acceptable for him.
I think he's getting to the point where it's not, but he's a little slower to get there than we would be.
I know, but I just want him to understand that there are women he's more compatible with out there. There are women that'll work harder than him, that have better work ethic than him. Nephew, I think he's in a great developmental stage in his life, and he's doing great at it. He really is. He's just got to make sure that, he's not applying the handbrake while he's putting the pedal to the floor. Well said, Johnny. All right, nephews, call in with your own questions. We'll answer them live for you.
Trevor, thanks, man. And let me just tell you, you're still a lot smarter than I was at your age, because I would have kept running into the same brick wall. Luckily, not that you're spoiled, but you got YouTube and you got your uncles. We didn't have that. All right. So we got question 3 from Nathan. And Nathan is Nathan. I forgot about Nathan. Well, I didn't forget about Nathan, but this is a rough one. Oh, so Nathan says, I'm struggling to not reach out. Struggling to, though, not failing to.
What?
So now here's the thing. He's in the kind of trouble that I found myself in at a similar situation, a similar stage in life. He's 30. He's 32. She's 30. He says, I was recently seeing this girl for about a month. Things started off extremely passionate and a lot of mutual interest on both sides. I stayed the night at her house on New Year's Eve, and everything felt like it was heading towards a serious romantic relationship. We never had relations with each other, during the time that we were seeing each other. So in a month, they didn't get it on. She was a seller on an app called Whatnot. She's a seller on an app called Whatnot. I'm not familiar with it, and she would often tag me in her friends' live streams saying, "Babe, look at this," and would refer to me as her man. It felt nice to feel like I was being shown off, and someone was genuinely as excited about me as I was about them for the first time in years. I've had the app for my own personal hobbies for about 3 years now, and now I can't help but hope that every time I get a notification, it's her tagging me in something. After watching your podcast, I began paying attention to what Johnny and William call indicators of interest. All right. He said, here's what I've noticed. This woman made me feel more valued, understood, respected, appreciated, etc. in 1 month of dating without a committed relationship than any romantic partner that I had ever had before. She randomly ended things over having some personal financial challenges pertaining to her student loans and being a single mother with no help. For context, I offered to pay a babysitter for our dates. She declined due to the fact that, we were only seeing each other a month. While we were seeing each other, she told me that I was literally everything she had ever wanted in a man. Instagram is a social media platform I use the very least. You really should get on there and check out William the Conqueror, though. I promise you, you're going to enjoy that. And I accidentally opened it the other day. Stand team aside, football rules. No, so I accidentally opened it the other day while swiping on my phone. She was my very first suggested follow, and it intensified the pain of us no longer talking tenfold. We're gonna let that. I'm not gonna comment on how dramatic I think that is, even though I kind of did. I was the one who initiated the no contact because I felt like I was torturing myself by talking to her when she made her stance on taking a break from dating very clear. I know for my own sake, it's probably best not to reach out and to continue trying to move on, which I don't recommend yet. But I felt like we had just such immense chemistry that it hurt, even though it was fairly brief. I miss our daily conversations and our playful banter. I just feel like she gave up on what seemed like a great situation with a lot of potential far too quickly and easily. I could use some advice with some kind words. Be gentle, LOL, he says. We haven't spoken in a couple of weeks, but it has taken every ounce of willpower in me to not reach out ever since seeing her in my suggested follows on Instagram the other day. Can I let you know that that is actually not her doing? Just, Okay, so the thing of it is here, man, is I'm going to go ahead and go back to a couple of the mistakes that I'm seeing here. So, when she tells you she's taking a break from dating, so you're telling me that she decided to stop seeing you because she has student loans, because she, what is this? Because she is taking a break from dating. What was the other thing? Oh, and being a single mother with no help. So because she has bills to pay and has to work a little extra, she's not able to continue dating you. Now, while on the surface, that does sound, genuine, honest, and hey, at least she's not wasting any more of your time. Okay, granted, she's not wasting any more of your time, except you're now wasting your own time on her. The thing of it is that you're being told by a woman you've been dating for a lousy 4 weeks that she just simply doesn't have time for dating. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I don't mean to be a dick when I say this, but it sounds kind of weak that you're holding back. You're really having a hell of a time not texting her. And the thing of it is that there's probably some other things that she maybe sensed in you that didn't seem like the possible strongest mate she could possibly find. Something didn't make her biologically attracted to you. When she tells you she doesn't have time to date, it means she doesn't have time to meet you again. Okay? The personal finances, the student loans, that's fluff. I mean, that part of that might be true, and maybe she does have to pick up some more hours of work to make those minimum payments. But I promise you that a woman who is truly interested in pursuing something serious, romantic, and committed with you is not going to be too busy nor be lacking the time or availability to at least meet with you as often as she can. She will move heaven and earth to come to your house for a shot of whiskey, a cup of coffee, whatever it happens to be. Uncle Bill?
Nathan, nephew, I'm glad you wrote in. I really am.
Yeah.
All right. What you're missing isn't her. You're missing how you felt about yourself when she was around. And that distinction matters.
Yeah.
Like 1 month of intensity, that doesn't equal compatibility. And nephew, she was absolutely love bombing you. Here's the thing, though. It equals projection plus novelty. Right? She didn't betray you. She didn't lead you on. She told you clearly that her life wasn't structured for a relationship, and you respected it. Yep. Now, that already puts you ahead of most men, but here's the hard truth. Chemistry without consistency is a nervous system trap. Your brain is chasing an emotional spike, not the woman. Social media is just pouring gasoline all over that memory loop. All right, you did the right thing by choosing no contact. Shout out to you. Now complete the move. Mute her. Remove visual triggers. Replace the habit with something physical or grounding. And whatever you do, don't reach out to relieve pain. Let
Oh
the
man.
pain teach you where your attachment outpaces reality. You didn't lose your shot, nephew. You gained clarity in this. And that's growth. So I'm proud of you for that. And like I said, I'm really glad you wrote in, man. Shout out to you. But you got to understand the why she is interested or not interested. It doesn't really matter, nephew. You got to move on. Don't reach out to her. It's going to come from a point of weakness, and she's not going to respect you. And if you were paying attention last week, Johnny issued a challenge to one of the young men who wrote in about ignoring the first message that she sends you and waiting until she sends you a second message, because that's not a moment of weakness. That's actual intent.
And in this situation, I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that first message either.
No, but I don't know. I'm confused why you're that upset about this woman. You weren't even really smashing her. Like, how much of a connection could you really have?
I got to say, I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it. I think she's probably super hot. He thinks he's like just maybe a date or two away from smashing, and all of a sudden she drops off. Now, that could be a possibility too. That's frustrating. Listen, I know whether you're looking for something committed, whether you're looking for something sexual, whatever it is you're looking for, when shit like that drops off, I understand it being frustrating and everything like that. So here's the thing. I hope that you're not confusing what you're calling feelings with desire. And I kind of got a feeling that that's what's happening here. Number one. Number two, you simply did not show her anything that made her biologically attracted to you. Does that mean you did anything wrong? Not necessarily. Chances are it was just something you didn't quite do right for her in that situation, in that dynamic, in that way. Now, I do think maybe you should be a little bit more assertive, start talking and walking with your chest. But apart from that, I think what's happening is you really liked her. She was hot. You thought you hit it off. Luckily, she was nice enough to let you down easy after a month, and you're still trying to figure out why. Well, I'm telling you that I'm telling you two elements here. Number one, that it doesn't matter, but number two, again, if she's into you, if she's into you, she will move heaven and earth to see you even once a week. And the fact of the matter is that she would do just that if she were attracted to you in that biological way, or in any real magnetic attraction kind of way. And that's not what's happening here, man. I'm sorry, that's not what's happening. But
Johnny, he wasn't picking up on the subtle cues. When a woman tells you clearly that her life isn't structured for a relationship, she's telling you in between the lines that she's looking for somebody to smash. That's cool, but she wasn't into him like that. And he just kind of like friend zoned himself with the dating behavior and the stuff she didn't have time for to begin with. Maybe there was a little bit of sexual attraction there initially, but he didn't seize the moment. He missed his
he had his chance to woo her. He had his chance to lead. He had his chance to, put across that self-confidence that you're supposed to be putting across in this situation. Because you're not just going to walk up to a girl and say, okay, I'm leading. Follow me. Doesn't work that way, man. You will, if you are truly leading, you don't have to say it. You're going to be it. And that's going to be that's the biological attraction, the follow I'm talking about.
Okay, nephew. Okay, if you want to see if she's into you and you meet her when you're out somewhere, like Johnny said, you don't say, okay, I'm leading, but you say, hey, can I talk to you over here for a minute? And you lead her away to a spot that is comfortable for you to communicate and get to know her a little bit at. I'm just saying, like, if you're,
and by the way, get ready to take a couple of notes.
People, a loudspeaker, if she's into you, she's going to follow you over to the next room, the other side of the room, outside on the patio, wherever the case may be. She will follow your lead, but you have to know how to lead. So that was probably
and don't let the numerous
too, Johnny.
Yeah, don't let the numerous times you hear the word no when you do that discourage you from doing it next time that you find yourself in that situation. You're not going to close 100%, man. It doesn't work that way. Most of the best of us don't close anywhere near 50. Nowhere near it. All right. This is not about you being able to get the girl. This is about you getting you and finding someone who's willing to be part of that. All right.
All right. Please write in if you have any other questions. Call in. We got you, nephew. I appreciate you writing in tonight. Thank you.
By the way, if anybody has been in that situation or been the other person in the situation who, things were great for a couple of weeks and then something either gave you the ick or that person just suddenly disappeared, leave in the comments. We've all been through it. All right. So, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So we got CJ. And CJ says, I'm an introvert and I want to know, like, shy folks like myself, how would I start dating? Grammar, come on, guys.
Bruh.
I'm someone who's never been in a relationship, mostly a work and home type of person, and completely new to the whole dating scene. So, how do you actually open yourself up to someone while still keeping your? How do you actually open yourself up to someone while still keeping your boundaries? I really want my dating life to be sincere, respectful, and genuine because I see it as a stepping stone towards something meaningful. Whether that ends up being friendship, connection, or a romantic partner. I'm going to go ahead and say to narrow that down. Honestly, I was just trying to figure out things when I came across your podcasts and videos. You guys are hilarious, by the way. I would love to hear your experiences and or advice. So I guess the question is, how do you open yourself up to someone while still keeping your boundaries? I would say by making sure they know what your boundaries are.
CJ, the fact that you're even asking this question already puts you ahead of most men.
Yeah.
You're not behind. You're unrushed.
Especially
Dating
23.
doesn't start with women. It starts with a life someone can step into. All right. Most shy men think confidence comes from experience with women. It doesn't. Nephew, confidence comes from self-trust. And you build that by keeping promises to yourself, little ones, making sure your words you are in alignment with your actions. All right, here's the thing. It's a real simple blueprint for you. You got to build rhythm first. Work, gym, hobbies, consistency. Your life should already feel full. Date slowly. One coffee.
Yeah.
One walk to feed the ducks, one conversation. I'm real big on no pressure and no performance.
Yep.
And nephew, you got to lead with boundaries. You don't overshare. You never rush intimacy, and you don't abandon your routine. Something else I need you to do is let interest reveal itself. There's something to be said for curiosity, nephews. Be a man of mystery, but you have to put in effort and be consistent as well. Not with your words, but with your behaviors. All right. Now, you're not trying to impress somebody. All right. We as men are impressive. Whenever you try to impress somebody, you're essentially trying to manipulate them. You're getting them to believe a narrative that might not necessarily be true. However, when you have standards and principles, you cannot help but be impressive. So you need to allow someone to qualify for access to your life. Now that's masculine, that's grounded, and nephew, I promise you, sir, that's attractive.
Yeah, I mean, if it sounds ironic that you'll impress more people when you stop trying to impress people, make no mistake, it is. But it's true nevertheless. And that's something you guys got to be remembering. When you're waking up every day, you got to make sure you're following that routine. Now, we might slip from that routine once in a while. You know, crazy shit happens. We get sick. We get 18 inches of snow dumped on us. We have to, like, take the day off work. But, I digress. We deal with those things every day as they come at us. Okay. As men, it's our responsibility. All right. As adults, it's our responsibility. And as productive members of not only society, but within our own ecosystem. And that's to be where you live, whether alone or whether you're a girlfriend of 3 years. Okay. The fact of the matter is that before we go, and let me just say, when it comes to things like social media, when it comes to people's views on this and that, I don't care whether you're left or right, none of that stuff. My big thing is that I've got to be able to take care of the world around me first. All right. I've got to be able to live in my apartment, pay my bills. I've got to be able to make sure that I cook nutritious meals because this is wintertime and it's time for me to bulk up a little bit before summer, before I have to shred. There's things that I need to be able to do for myself before I go watching, judging, or frankly arguing with anybody else. The people that need my attention and my philosophies and my thoughts the most are the people closest to me. People like Uncle Bill, people like Matt, people like, Frank, everybody like that. That is your circle. That is your world. That is your universe. And if you're able to help outside of that circle, fantastic. But remember that you can't help other people be healthy if you yourself are not healthy. And if anybody knows that, it's a trainer. But anyway, if you had a similar experience to any of the guys that wrote in tonight, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Send us your stories. My email is in the live chat. So any questions you want read live Monday night, send it to us, man. 9:35 p.m. Monday and Thursday nights. We have a great time here, guys. And whether you're coming here for the banter, for the laughs, or for the trolling, we're here for your entertainment and, frankly, our own.
CJ, I want to talk to you about something because you actually wrote in with something that's right in my wheelhouse. And since I'm your favorite uncle, we're your favorite uncles, I'm going to give you a little bit of game on how to approach women, sir. Now, first of all, let's reframe this. Let's reframe the goal. You're not approaching to impress. You're introducing yourself to see if there's mutual interest. All right. That mindset alone removes 70% of your anxiety, sir. All right. And you said you've never done this. You have no experience. So I want to tell you where to start. Okay. You're going to approach where conversations already make sense. Low pressure zones, coffee shops are some of my favorites. Bookstores, little hobby groups, mutual friend settings are another real good one. Now, I would avoid loud bars and clubs at first. That's kind of like playing on hard mode and you're not ready for that. So let's just stay away from that. You say you're an introvert. So I would tell you the golden rule for you would be to keep things short, calm, honest, and then stop talking. Most men fail because they over-explain. And nephew, I'm even guilty of doing this myself.
Dude, I have talked my way out of many bedrooms. Not on purpose.
Nephew, I would love to even give you a couple simple openers. And you could use these verbatim if you need to. Just like a quick context opener, like, hey, quick hello. I see you here a lot, and I figured I'd introduce myself. My name is William. I'll do you one better. Okay, you want to be direct and respectful. So something like, hey, this might be random, but I wanted to say hi. I'm CJ. I would go with something else. You seem focused. Are you working on something interesting? But that's kind of mid-level because you don't want to interrupt somebody. But one of the reasons why you never approach women at the gym, because you don't want to interrupt them while they're working out. I say I'm real big on leaving women at the gym alone and at the job alone. And that's because you're just going to make them feel uncomfortable at some point, and it's going to turn out really bad for you.
And since my job is at a gym, believe me, it's kind of like 2 for 1 there.
I like to meet women at like the grocery store. That's a real good one for me. Like the little organic food section, or where I get the little kombucha and pressed juice shots and stuff at.
Dude, the first date after my divorce was at Ruley Bro. It was a girl I met at Ruley Brothers by the fish market of all places. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you this too, nephew. Women, especially the right woman, will respect your honesty. So if you approach them, and I'm telling you, you might find this surprisingly effective. You're like, hi, I'm a little introverted, but I'm practicing being more social. My name's CJ. Try that just once or twice to see how that works out for you. Now, I'm going to tell you what you need to look for next. Not approval, but there are certain signals. And shout out to Johnny Dumbbell. He was talking about indicators of interest a year before the red pill community existed, and they were talking about choosing signals. So you are going to look for indicators of interest, green lights, whatever you like to call them. She starts asking questions back. Or even if she turns her body towards you, she stays engaged for more than 20 or 30 seconds. These are all really good indicators of initial interest. And if none of these happen, you can't be weird about it. You got to be like, hey, well, it was nice to meet you. Enjoy your day. That's not rejection. That's discernment.
Ain't
Now,
the end of the world, man.
I will even give you a little bit of game here on how to set up a date. And you got to keep it small. You never pitch dinner first. No, I'll use this format, something like you want to grab coffee sometime this week or something. All right. Johnny and I have different approaches on this. I would tell you never ask a woman for her phone number. Ask her if she's got anybody in her life that would have a problem if you gave her your number. Johnny,
see, I modify that.
Yeah,
I've actually modified
a little bit.
My belief on that. The last time I did it in person, instead of even saying anything, I unlocked my phone, pulled up the keypad, handed it to her, and asked her to do the same. Actually, I didn't even ask. I put my hand out, had her do the same. I mean, that was all it was, you know.
You get the number, you set up coffee, you meet the woman, you say, hey, I've enjoyed this. You want to grab some coffee sometime this week? You've exchanged numbers, you gave her your number. Now, this is going to be key for you because we give you guys little tidbits of game. We give you guys entry-level game here. We give you enough to get you going, but we want you to ask more questions and get more involved. So we usually don't get this far in depth with it, but I'm gonna give you some real game here tonight, CJ. Now that you have introduced yourself to a woman, now that you have given her your phone number and set up coffee, now this is going to be key. You have to have some boundaries, okay? Number one, no over texting, CJ. Say that to yourself. No over texting. Number two, CJ, no trauma dumping. CJ, number three is going to be no immediate emotional intimacy. None. And number four, you keep your routine unchanged. Now, what is going to build confidence with you? It's not success with women, it's reps. All right. And just set a simple beginner's rule for yourself. 2 to 3 light conversations per week. I would like you to approach 2 to 3 women a day. I would go as far to say 5, but outcome doesn't matter. Consistency does. And nephew, confidence is familiarity with discomfort. Now, CJ, you don't need to become louder. You don't need lines. You don't need to rush. What you need is a calm presence, clear intention, and respect for yourself and her. Approaching isn't about courage. It's about self-trust. And that's built one clean interaction at a time. So
yeah, I mean, that's where it all falls back on having that program already set up, following that routine day after day, knowing that this is your program, liking that it's your program, and liking yourself enough that you are sharing everything you like about yourself with this girl instead of putting out all your vulnerabilities, instead of telling her how you've been cheated on before. My God, don't ever tell her that. It's got nothing to do with your relationship. It's got nothing to do with this situationship. It doesn't even have anything to do with the cup of coffee you're buying. None of it. All right. So, like Uncle Bill said, we don't overshare. We don't overtext. We should not be sending 2 texts in a row, at least not in the early stages. And no, not even in the event of a misspelling, because you should be proofreading before you send them. You know how many people got fired for not doing that?
CJ, if you write us back, I will give you a first date structure. I will even give you texting framework to help you. And Uncle Johnny would love to set up a gym specific guide to help you with your consistency and confidence as well. So shout out to the Johnny Dumbbell Challenge.
Speaking of which, and CJ, you as well as everybody else that we read your question live today, make sure you check your emails. Should already be in there. I sent you a good 4-week schedule for the Johnny Dumbbell Challenge. We have alternate workouts in there. I got 1 body weight and 1 with actual like resistance dumbbells. Because Johnny Dumbbell. So you guys got a copy of each. That's going to set you up for the next 4 weeks. And there'll be instructions in there on how to do that. By the way, guys, if you want to get my body weight workout of the week, in the comments, just type in dumbbell, and I'll make sure that I get it to you. Bill, got anything else for us?
Nephews, before you log off tonight, I need you to hear this. Nothing we talked about works if you don't apply it. Clarity without action, it's just information. Discipline without consistency is just intention. Right? You become a man by knowing better. You become a man by doing better repeatedly when no one else is watching. Now, we're not here to shame you for where you are. We're here to remind you that you're responsible for where you go next. If something tonight hit you, don't argue with it. Sit with it. Adjust your behavior and then move forward quietly. Lead yourself this week. Control your emotions. Keep your standards high and your reaction low. And remember, masculinity isn't loud. It's disciplined. It's steady. It's accountable. And nephews, if this show helped you, then share it with some men who need structure, not sympathy. And we'll be back live doing this again Monday night. Until then, slow down, think clearly, move with intention, and God bless the real. God, you got anything you want to add tonight?
2 things. We got 1 more week left in January. I'm still running that first 3 sessions for $99. That's 3 hours of personal training, customized, fit your goals. We can either do that virtual rather, or in person if you happen to be in the Pittsburgh area. But that's going on for about another, 8 more days we got left in January. So that, and also young men, old men, nephews and cousins alike. We got 3 days before we see you again. Now, we're going to have to trust you to be on your best behavior because we don't have money to bail you out. So no drugs or alcohol, please. But if you do drink, don't drive. And if you do drive, don't park, because accidents cause people. Good night.
Appreciate you watching tonight, nephews.